Previously in the game, it has been all about events in the past, but with these prison levels we wanted to bring it to the present, and many events experienced are happening here and now. An example of this is a prisoner being dragged off at the start of the level. Here also starts the most encounter-intense part of the game, and we were a bit unsure on how much enemies we could add. We added what we thought was enough, but after some testing and feedback, we decided to add even more. The amount of encounters experienced depends a bit on how you play the level, but hopefully you should feel constantly oppressed. Since this was the last level that this enemy has a greater part in, we did not fear overusing it either, so I think the amount of enemies here is pretty nice.
Where did she go?
No, I won't tell. I'll never tell you.
You're just making things worse. Look, this is no place for a young girl all by herself. She could be hurt or worse. There's no telling what horrors await down there.
Find Gabriel, the Outrider, and tell him to alert the King's men.
No, you come too.
Please, we don't have time to make the hole any wider.
But...
Someone is coming. Hurry! I'll cover the hole with a bed. Everything will be fine. I promise.
A goal with this level is trying to get the player feel a bit claustrophobic. First off, we start the level in a tight space, letting the feeling hit you directly. Then the idea was to actually decrease the horizontal view, squeezing the view together. But it became a bit problematic and we felt that the design of the level was enough. It is very dark and can be hard to find your way. Which is actually kinda surprising, since the level has a really simple design, but because of some dead ends and similar looking locations, it can be quite hard to navigate. In the end, we also put up some signs to help the player along and get the right balance between annoyance and disorientation. It's quite hard when you want to expose the player to negative feelings as we might make them quit the game. But it's a fine line to thread, and I'm sure not everybody will get the right experience, but I guess that's just one of those risks you will have to take in the interactive
2nd
media.
of August, they are...
This pig was the first object that I ever tried to rig as a ragdoll, and I'm pretty satisfied with the end result. I'm a little rusty when it comes to making organic creatures like this, so this was basically the only model that I had as a little ongoing project that I could get back to work on when I had some time off from other work. All other models are pretty much on a tight deadline, so it was nice to have this model that I could get back to work on almost as practice. When I started to model the pig corpse, I thought right away that I needed to do it right from the beginning, so I googled a lot of pig pictures. Since we wanted a rotten look to it, you can imagine I found a lot of weird pictures. Other than the look of the model, the only difference from creating a prop is the fact that you have to plan the mesh, so it's nice for animations as well as good for importing to a sculpting program, like a Mudbox or ZBrush. In those applications, you add details to the model, pretty much like a clay sculptor. and then you transfer those changes to the normal map that you use for the in-game model. I used ZBrush in this case, and I was happy to use it because my skills in that application started to fade away. Creating the texture for the pig wasn't the easiest thing to do, because it isn't easy to find good reference pictures for rotten pigs with moist skin. The biggest issue was in fact getting the skin to look unhealthy, but I think it turned out pretty nice, even though it needs a little more work. But to be able to put in more work, you need to have more time and resources. And as a small indie company, that isn't something we have. For the ragdoll, I had to first set it up, the 3D program I use, called Maya. I created a skeleton for the pig, skinned it so that each part of the big model moves with the correct bone. After that, I used our in-house model editor to set it up with bodies with weights for each individual part, like the legs, head, and body. Then I connected it all together using joints. When done right and with correct weights for each body part, it works quite nicely.
believe this. Why? I mean, why? What did I do to deserve this? I mean, it can't be. Do I deserve this? It wasn't my fault. Why did he have to go in there? Don't go into burning houses. He should have known better.
Fourth of all,
level some light is needed, and that is what we want to give the player right now. We also wanted to have an environment that did not look like anything else the player has seen so far. When the player has endured the dark and gloomy dungeon levels, we wanted to give some sort of award for coming so far, and this level is supposed to be that award. The sound of water is also found quite soothing for most people, so we wanted them to relax and calm down, only to be more acceptable for scares later on, of course.
Bothering with it today. Come this way instead. We're almost there.
I figured I add a little something about the commentary, why it is in the game and how we did it. As you probably have noticed by now, the quality of the recordings are a bit different. We tried our best, but as we do not have an office, everyone had to care for their own voice recording and make do with the equipment that they have. For me as a sound artist and for Mikko and Tapio, this was not really much of a problem. We all got our sound gear to rely on. But for the rest, they really had to work to make the best out of their chat microphones. They even got a checklist of things to do, such as put a sock on the microphone and what
Herbert, how did we find this place? An old friend.
This level consists of 3 parts of a puzzle. For each part you complete, you get 1 step closer to getting the machinery running. It does not matter which order you do it in, so you can complete the level as you like. When I scripted this level, I made a basic function for completing a puzzle. Then I added some specific tweaks to each puzzle to make them unique. And then finally a grand version of a complete puzzle function to make it really noticeable when you finish all 3 of them. I got surprised when several testers said that it was not clear as to when they completed the whole level. That on the first puzzle it was really nice, but that on the second and third puzzle they did not really notice that they had accomplished something successfully. As I was about to start working on this, I noticed something really strange. I had, for testing purposes, made it so that when completing the first puzzle, you would get the grand puzzle completion function, which meant that the first puzzle had a big bang of events, while the other 2 would only have the minor small puzzle completion events. It had been like this since I finished the level, so no one had never experienced the actual sequence of events meant to take place. This type of bugs are pretty nice to fix, because you only fix your own stupid mistake, and then all is done.
This map is all about themes, and the action the player does are meant to reflect what happens in the diary entries. The player needs to turn the valves in order to progress, but at the same time, things go bad every time this is done. The level gets darker, the sound of someone being trapped gets louder, and the water lurker seems to be coming closer. Everything tells the player not to turn the valves, yet it must be done. Something that reflects how Daniel feels in the diaries. The inspiration for this level came from me visiting the Basilica Cistern in Istanbul. Fun thing was that Jonas, the concept artist who drew the design, had also visited it the same summer, so he knew precisely what I was after. The fishes that can be found were also inspired by the real thing.
Seventh floor, Alex. It turns out. Eighth August.
You see, Daniel? It has yielded. What? The shadow. It has.
Alexander, along with Daniel, makes up the foundation for the entire story. Together they make the core conflict.
Yes,
There was a lot of background for this character as he is in a sense the villain, so I wanted to do everything that I could to make him likable and have people sympathize
The
with him.
flashback of the guy trapped is actually inspired by true events. During the bubonic plague outbreaks, people were buried so quickly that it was not always checked that they were probably dead. This meant that people sometimes woke up, finding themselves locked up and entombed, surrounded by corpses. Scratches on doors and walls of such rooms have been found, confirming that it did happen.
What's happening? Help! Anybody! Help!
As with the cistern, this takes the player closer to Daniel's dark past. It was important here that the corpses did not have the normal gory shock value, but was more true to reality and disturbing. We really wanted to approach this stuff with respect and not just show it in an exploitative fashion. I hope that shows when you play the game.
3 days now. This is ridiculous. I did send someone to this room! Hey! Anybody! Am I all alone here? Help! Help! I'm so tired. If I sleep, will I wake from this nightmare? If not, I pray my Heavenly Father will take me in my sleep.
Somehow, every adventurer finds himself in a sewer at some point in his life, and Daniel is no different. Usually these levels tend to be a bit dull, but this one turned out rather okay. It's quite a step up from the last sewer level I did in Penumbra Requiem. It was supposed to be a blue tinted level with a feeling of being cold and damp, but it stood out too much to really fit in with the other levels. We settled for a green tint on the brown dungeon set, as it worked nicely as a transition between the systems.
This here was my first job at scripting a puzzle. I must say that I like working on scripts, but that's probably because I love anything that looks or feels like programming. Scripting puzzles does not involve just writing a plain script. You also get to edit entities, create particle systems, set up stuff like areas and entities in the level to support the script. It is actually a lot of fun, and it allows for quite a bit of creativity. This particular puzzle is about having to jam a kind of water mill to be able to get through it. But it first needs to be slowed down somehow. That controls the mill rotation speed. There is not much to say about this part, just a couple levers that change some values when moved and do stuff when the right value is set. As you might already know, playing around with the combination of both levers, you can notice a background sound change. At the time of working on this, there was no proper sound available for this background sound, so I just picked some placeholders from what was in there already. I thought the peaky sound that is heard when the elevator falls down would do a nice one for the medium speed. How wrong I was. It was unbearable to say the least, so I just ended up removing all placeholders and leaving a to-do note in the script. Pipe you see here can be broken to be used later to join the mill. It is actually a model with two bodies joined by a hinge joint. To do this part of the puzzle, I first made it so you could break the joint at some point when pulling, but this just felt really strange. So I just asked James how we were doing this kind of stuff in the game, and he told me to just add some area that counted hits in the script. So every time the pipe collided with this area, a certain variable was increased by 1. If you enable the debug window, you can see this area with activating the draw physics debug option. When this variable reached a given value, it triggers the breakage of the pipe, spawning the broken pipe item, and that's how it works.
Take me! Nobody ever return!
This here was my first job at scripting a puzzle. I must say that I like working on scripts, but that's probably because I love anything that looks or feels like programming. Scripting puzzles does not involve just writing a plain script. You also get to edit entities, create particle systems, set up stuff like areas and entities in the level to support the script. It is actually a lot of fun, and it allows for quite a bit of creativity. This particular puzzle is about having to jam a can of water mill to be able to get through it. But it first needs to be slowed down somehow. that controls the mill rotation speed. There is not much to say about this part, just a couple levers that change some values when moved, and do stuff when the right value is set. As you might already know, playing around with the combination of both levers, you can notice a background sound changing. At the time of working on this, there was no proper sound available for these background sounds, so I just picked some placeholders from what was in there already. I thought that creaky sound that is heard when the elevator falls down would do a nice one for the medium speed. How wrong I was. It was unbearable to say the least, so I just ended up removing all placeholders and leaving a to-do note in the script.
When I was looking at the concept art of Brute Monster, I thought that it should sound like one long tone, which is coming from the tube. Because it doesn't have mouth, it should sound like a hollow thing, which can't make clear and complex vocalization. Firstly, I recorded lots of different kind of dogs and I edited them to play as one tone. I had lots of discussion with Jens and I think I got the right idea, but there was feeling that it was coming too close and it was...
almost 2 years of continuous development of the editors, this was my very baptism of fire in level creation. My first big level edited ever, that is. Making the base for this level was my assignment for week 8 this year, and I must confess I was pretty excited about it all. You know, not ever having used the editors in a real life run, I was wondering how well I was going to do. A good thing about me using the tools I am dedicated to develop is that I could get a close view on how they feel when working with them. And it's easier and quicker to get bugs fixed when working like this, as they usually get in the middle of the way and the only solution is just getting your hands dirty and fix them. This also works well for small features that don't take much time to add. I'm not sure which one I added from working on this level, but it usually starts like thinking, oh, being able to do this or that would be really nice, and ends up with the feature in the editor. Not everything works like this, you know. I actually have an endless list of stuff to add to the editors, but there is always so little time. They will come eventually, that's for sure, or maybe not.
Soon, I won't even be able to move, will I?
Your life is safe.
I don't doubt that. But will it be worth living?
The Agrippa Awaken sequence is inspired by the movie 7 when they find the sloth victim. I thought that scene was really disturbing, so it stuck to me. When writing the design of the Agrippa event, it came to mind instantly. A fun thing about Agrippa is that it was first supposed to be a severed head that was placed at several locations in the game. It then later turned into the guy that is in the game now.
My gratitude.
If you wonder why he does not have a lower jaw, then that's because we did not have the resources for voice sync. It was then worked into the story though, as Alexander does not want him talking when he shouldn't.
Tell me, are you among the lions, Daniel? You want to stop Alexander?
I told Thomas that I wanted a character that the player could look at, or at least know that someone was talking to him right now, as in no flashbacks, no ghosts, or memories. Just something solid the player could depend on being real. However, a character is really expensive stuff.
Back on the level editing, it was an interesting experience to say the least. I started with the room with the door leading to level 22 and made my way up from there. I managed to build a reasonable base in a bit over a week's time. It took a bit long, having into account that not all models needed for the level were available at the time I started working on it, and that, blaming my inexperience in level building, I had to remake some parts a lot of times, like the room I started with. It was Marcus who took the level from where I left it, and I must say he did an awesome job. I'm not sure how much of my original work still stands in there, but the final version looks really sweet. I didn't get more level creation assignments after this one, possibly because I am actually more productive in other kinds of tasks, but I'm happy I had the chance to try.
I know this. I've been here already. I know this taste. A taste of Damascus rose obfuscating the truth in its dim haze. They may sweep the traces from my memory, but my body remembers. These cuts speak volumes, even though my mind remains silent. They will be back. They will be back.
In this level, it is easily done to not see the whole level. If you have all the ore pieces when coming here, you will get captured at the start and will not get a chance to see the rest of the level. There is a whole area to the east consisting of 2 very detailed rooms, so if you end up being captured on your first visit, make sure to come visit again.
Just a little further.
It's like Orpheus descending into the underworld.
Are you hiding something?
What do you mean?
Never mind.
Torture Chancel was an interesting level. It made a clear break from all the claustrophobic tunnels that make up the majority of our levels.
It doesn't matter.
It also presented a challenge since we had to fill that space with interesting pieces and still be able to run it on older computers. The idea of the level is to give the player a sense of what is to come, and to give them a feeling that maybe all this was here, even before Alexander built his castle. As a contrast to the mystic shrines, we have an electric barrier in the back of the level. The idea and design of this bit is an homage to the movie Event Horizon.
who are under treatment. The people you send for will end up here. Remember that the confinement itself works as a preamble to the torture, and you should pace yourself. Don't take anyone before they are ready.
Understood.
Sounds from the torture chambers are shuttled in through those pipes in the ceiling. Manage your victims well, and let one prisoner's pain instill terror in his cellmate.
But if you're really going after Alex, would you consider taking me with you? I know it sounds ridiculous. I mean, look at him. But if you find anything concerning a man named Johann, would you please bring it to me? I believe he was working on a way to help him. A recipe for some sort of potion, a tonic to free me from this husk of mine.